is that these are skills that are life skills. It's not just a skill for a program like this. These are life skills. These are tools that they are very actionable right now. There are things we can use for our family, for our personal life, and just have fun doing it. So let's ride the journey together. I'll give you a lot of stories to buttress it, live experiences, learn one or two things. When we get to our breakout sessions, share your experiences too. I'll jump in between two, and let's have fun doing it. Persuasion in leadership. In simple terms, guys, ladies, every one of us, we always hope we could persuade others. I mean, besides corporate environment, it could be within family setting, it could be political setting, it could be any kind of. One of the ways you all would agree with me is persuasion is not enforcing your will. That is not persuasion, right? That means you're using your authority. You will not command my respect in the long term. In the short term, yes, you might. I don't have a choice. It's survival for me. I want to feed my family. I may listen to you and just play your game, but it's not sustainable. So we as leaders, persuasion is a huge, huge skill. Let me give you a practical example. So a lot of us in leadership now, one of the biggest challenges we've seen is attrition, right? People leaving your organization. Now, guess what? Except you are not a serious leader, anyone in leadership today, it's probably one of your biggest concerns, to be honest, because you're thinking in your mind, all right, who's going to give you the next letter that you're leaving? I mean, look, people leave, move every day, that's fine. But what you don't want people to do is to leave because of an environment that is not conducive. Now, when they come and say they want to leave, how do you persuade someone that is made up to leave already? Their mind is made up. So, so at the early stage, persuasion must be part of your tool as a leader. What about persuading people to opt in to your vision? So a lot of things you have to use some of the tools, some of the techniques we're going to talk about tonight, and later we'll share all of those experiences together and kind of talk through it, see what has worked for each other, then we can learn in that process. All right, let's move. So the art of persuasion in leadership, huge, huge, big deal. In the world of military, it's a big deal because you want people that are in the line, chain of command to align with your leadership and your vision. So you need to persuade me to buy into your vision. If I come in tonight, I've been so blessed. I have a lot of people that believe in what we do in Skillweed, with minimal effort, people can see the vision, understand it makes sense to empower ourselves collectively. It's nice to be successful as a person, but it's a good feeling to have a community of successful people. It's a thing of pride, joy, and most of us align with that. It's not about being friends, no, it's not about that. It's a community thing. We're doing the right thing, empowering ourselves, put ourselves in a limelight that makes us very respected globally, gives us that leverage, and this is the time. Every one of you tonight, I challenge you. If you've never aspired to want to be a leader, I challenge you, you're already a leader. I'm just calling out that leadership in you, that's all. Everybody on this call is a leader already. You lead your family, you lead your loved ones, you've led in one capacity or the other, I can guarantee that. I'm just challenging you tonight, today, to say, add some extra tools, start using it. Guys, ladies, we only have one life. Use it well, enjoy it, maximize it. When is the time? This is it. Believe it or not, I can guarantee you, most people on this call are over 20, right? If you are less than 20, that's great. We are helping the younger ones to even grow better. But the point I'm making is, I can bet you, if life happens today, there's nobody on earth, you're the only person that can lead today. I give you 1 month, you will step up to it. And, I know this personally, most of us would agree. Some years back, the leader of North Korea died. He had a young son, 28 years old, just finished from a school, I believe in Switzerland. Suddenly became the leader of a nation of 50-something million people with a nuclear arsenal. So think about that. Think about the kind of pressure a human being can face, that suddenly you became the face of a nation You became the person that the whole nation relied on. That must be nerve-wracking, I would think, really, for any human being to say, wow, this is crazy stuff. That must be nerve-wracking, right? But guess what? I challenge you tonight, if life happens, every one of us will step up. So I'm challenging you, don't ever second guess yourself. Don't ever look at yourself like someone not capable. Because what makes me mad, and I'll be honest, is listen, everyone in your corporation, in any organization you found yourself, are the same people you meet in Walmart. You meet them in Sam's Club. You meet them in restaurants. You probably cuss them out when you are driving and somebody tries to shunt you. And you meet them in your church gathering and every other gathering. Then suddenly you now meet them in a corporate setting because they wore suit or put something on. Then you shrink. It's not acceptable. It's not cool, guys. Never shrink for anyone. Let's type it together. We do typing a lot in this forum. Type and say, never shrink for anyone. Never shrink for anybody. Can we type it together, please? Never shrink for anybody. So everybody in this group, in this forum, please type it real quick. Never shrink for anybody. We don't do that. We don't play that game here, guys. Everyone that's going through our program, we challenge you every night, every day. Believe in yourself, step up, leverage your God-given gift. Call it out, do it. So these tools I'm giving, we are working together to kind of brainstorm together to feed you guys with some of the leading tools, technique. Start using them. Exercise the muscle of those skills we teach or we talk about. Make it a part of your life and have fun doing it, okay? This is a very big one. I like it a lot. Persuasion. Okay. What exactly does this entail? The key core of it is your ability to influence a team of people. I'll tell you one secret. I think it's a huge one. And, I challenge everybody on this call, make your life a life of service to others, period. Leadership is all about service. Once you lose that focus, then you've missed the purpose of it. Every Tuesday, personally, I see it as a duty, if I'm available, to find interesting things that can impact people's life, right? It's about, to me, service. It's just, okay, what can I provide to help one or two people? I don't have to help 100 people, it's okay. If it's one person that I think can have an impactful, meaningful, life, to me, that's exciting. I love it. I'm excited enough. So it's all about service at the end of the day. Anything that goes out of that framework of service mostly is self-serving, right? So, and part of our life is, as leaders, is what are the critical things to help people, to persuade people to see things the way you see things. And it's not like a dictatorship that you're forcing people. It's people seeing it naturally, understanding it's natural to you. You genuinely believe in what you're doing. And over time, initially, a lot of people will not see the value in it. That's okay. But over time, people would understand and align with it because to you, it's a life mission. It's a life calling. The way other people have their own calling, this is yours. It's something you want to leave a legacy to impact others, right? So you also, every one of us, we have it in us, a power to persuade. And we're going to learn a few things that are important. First thing I've sneaked in tonight is the power of service. So can we type this together and say service? Can we just type it together? Everything at the end of the day, I don't care the way you look at it, it's all about service. Let's put it together. Service. In your mind, I would like you to start thinking and say, how can you serve? And I mean it really, even at your place of work, at any gathering, your immediate tool number one for everyone on this call, your first tool is always going to be service. Very important. Anytime you play to that tool, it naturally generates empathy, meaning you start thinking, how can I be of service? And service is all about giving. You're giving time, you're giving emotion, you're giving yourself to a cause larger than you. The likes of Mother Teresa, that they've been given so many accolades, so many awards, so many gifts, cash, whatever, and every one of what they give them, they give it back, right? Even the biggest of successful people in the world today, the likes of Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, they've already willed their fortune to certain foundation already. A lot of us are enjoying the benefit of so many schools in the US today, specifically now. The likes of Harvard, Yale, Carnegie Mellon, all of these schools, institutions are names of people that they endowed all their funds and their livelihood into a legacy of building colleges to empower kids, indigents, people that don't have money, sending their schools. It's legacy driven. It's amazing what those guys have done, right? Their name, they've been gone maybe 200 years in some cases, the likes of the Carnegie Mellons, Harvard, several hundreds of years, but all of us are still benefiting from them, including myself. A lot of us have taken certificates in those Ivy League colleges. A lot of us have gone to those schools, but we enjoy what those founders have put together. They get discount, they get different endowment funds that they give people scholarship to come to their program. So those are service. So in our mind, think service. At the end of the day, that's the core of everything. I'm challenging us tonight. That should be the key to everything we do. So let's see some basis of persuasion in leadership. So many times in the corporate world, it's based on team members having an expectation they should be treated as valuable resources. So before you start telling me, you're persuading me, I would know from your previous past action if you treat me as a valuable resource. Don't come and persuade me when you need me, right? You must have been treating me. That's why some of us at our place of work, many times we are mistrusting of the leadership or management because suddenly they want you to trust them because they have an angle to meet sales goal or to meet certain target. But because the foundation and the culture has not been based on the trust and empathy for you as a person, you don't feel valued, then many times it's easy to dismiss such an organization, right? But the first step is, number one, be fair-minded, treat people the way you want to be treated, right? So people know you are fair. And it's hard to play games. I mean, you and I would know somebody that is just BSing you, right? Because you can't BS me for so long, I will figure it out so quick. I want to be recognized also. I think it's important people are recognized. What does that mean? There are three ways, let me use the military mindset. There are three ways you can recognize people. Number one, you can give them medals and award. Number two, the obvious one, you give them monetary value. And number three, you easily give them time out, give them time, vacation, stuff like that. Those are three big incentives for most organizations. So you as a firm organization, early on, you must start recognizing what makes, as a leader, mostly, you should know within your team, your group, what is the motivating factor. So, somebody was messing with me saying, I like medals. We kind of teased him and said, well, I'm sure we bring the medal back to your wife back home. You're going to probably sleep on the couch because she would prefer you to collect the money than the medal, right? Or vice versa, your spouses. So the point is, you would know what matters to your team. Some people are so driven by recognition, accolades, email recognizing them, calling them superstar, rock star. That is all they need. Some people would want you to give them monetary incentive. Of course, all of us want all of it together. Best vacation in the world, best monetary invention, give me all the accolades. Yeah, we want the best of both worlds. But in the midst of it, still know what matters to your organization or your team, and also make sure that people understand their contribution matters. Very, very important. So you as a leader and as you aspire to be in leadership, even within your team, always be thoughtful. Look at people speaking. If you have a team of 4, be the one to say, hey guys, can we also hear from Brandon? Believe it or not, that statement has made you gain goodwill from Brandon. You don't have to be the leader. You don't have to be the manager, but you've contributed and you notice there's a Brandon that didn't speak. And you are the one that said, gentlemen, ladies, do you mind? Can we also hear from Brandon? So Brandon, what do you think about it? Believe it or not, you've earned that fellow's respect because It shows you also want to listen to them. That shows emotional intelligence. Everybody's speaking, this guy is just chilling. You just made their voice heard. That is huge and massive, guys and ladies. All right, let's think to another one real quick. Some persuasion approach when trying to persuade others. Now, the truth is that many times people want you to come with meaningful facts, right? Based on your position. Because many times, especially within organization, is driven by data analytics or numbers or whatever is driving, or user experience or customer experience, whatever your number is. I'm not just going to say, do it this way because I think this is the best way. Well, even as a leader, you can't say that, right? It makes no sense. That would not command the best quality decision most times because it's not driven by data, it's driven by your emotion, right? Even if you are the co-founder or owner, those are not the ways you make meaningful, solid decisions. So in most cases, you come with your facts, right? Which is fair. We come with our facts and specific of what we want to let others buy in. Then another powerful thing, ladies and gentlemen, always include meaningful, relevant stories and lesson learned. People, humanity is wired with stories. That's why the most effective leaders in the world, Buddha, Muhammad, Jesus, every teacher that has walked on the surface of the earth are effective storytellers. Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, a lot of these folks are very effective storytellers. Why? Because humanity from infancy, we are wired to listen to stories. We are trained and brought up with stories. That's why if you guys notice, every one of us, if you're having a communication and you tell people, we're going to handle three things today, 1, 2, 3. Or I'm going to say, there are 3 factors we have to consider: A, B, C. You draw people to your attention strongly because all of us are used to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's been our life foundation. So anytime you and I hear 1, 2, 3, it strikes a chord with you. Your brain cortex immediately registers with it and you feel, oh, I can grab this. This makes sense to me. So that's why bullet point is also very important, right? People just align with that because humanity is used to those guidelines, even as kids. So we're used to it. Story is a big one. It's not common. One of the ways a lot of people have spoken to one-on-one, after my few minutes, maybe 2 minutes with you, I would always ask, so what's your story? I love it because it makes you, culturally, a lot of African professionals, we might not be talkative, in our approach. Our Caucasian brothers, Asians that are born bred in the States or Canada or anywhere, it's natural. If you tell people, tell me your story, they can speak for 2 hours. It will be exciting for them. So for you, if I ask you, so tell me your story, it's a way to identify with you. I want to know you. What's your story? What makes you excited? So use those lines a lot too. Persuasion is just not, it's not going to just happen in one night or one day, right? I'm not negotiating. I'm saying persuasion. It means I would have built goodwill before we get to the point of persuasion, right? That's why if you are the one that is always antagonizing someone, you probably are not the right person to persuade a person because immediately they're already putting a fence and saying, heck no, I'm not going to deal with you, right? So at the end of the day, in the words of Margaret Thatcher, she said, I'm willing to be patient until I achieve my goal. Meaning you can cost me out, you can do everything politically, you can do everything you want to do, but I know my end goal. Don't take it personal. If I'm trying to persuade you, it doesn't work the first time, you know the end goal. Show empathy, listen, be credible. Also very important, this is a big one for us in corporate world. It's not just persuading me, show me the vision, show me the steps you've put together to achieve the vision. Let me give an example. So um, I run, I'm part of a leadership group that focus on a specialized area in technology. And I told my team, my vision is simple. I want my team to be the best operation technology in North America. Now, how do we go there? Get to that point. We're going to go through series of training to achieve that goal. It means we'll do some uncomfortable things. Beside your working hours, you would have to invest time to also do some certifications within vendor areas that are core in those specialized areas. So it will be uncomfortable for a fact the first couple of times, and you'll be transparent to say, hey, you envision it's going to be uncomfortable the first few 2-3 months, but you're open to listen. If there are challenges, you're open to move the timeline for execution within certain time, right? That's fair enough. And I saw immediate result because immediately you saw the team making progress. And this is somebody championing you to develop as a professional. It's just that this time, he or she is not just championing you, they're also baking in accountability into it to say, all right, dude, I give you timeline to do this. All right. It doesn't mean that I'm going to do anything if you don't meet the timeline, so to speak. But it's always nice when your leadership put timeline because you need to measure it to make sure people are on track. So put some vision and potential steps to reach the goal to your team. All right. Just want to stick that in there. Influential leaders rule the world. That's why you see sometimes political leaders become idols or religious leaders become idols because it's so powerful. You see people check out their brain because of a human in religious space, political space, traditional space. They check out their humanity and they become obsessed followers because those leadership, they've influenced you in such a way that it becomes culturally ingrained in your mind in everything you do. Now, it has its advantages and disadvantages, but I'm just saying it's a big deal. Influential leadership rules the world. You hope the leadership influence is positive because it also has a negative effect if it's negative because it means you have tons of followership in a negative cycle. If it's positive, it's just an amazing way to kind of pull through because the likes of Steve Jobs, for example, it built a huge mass followership within Palo Alto in Silicon Valley, whereby new entrepreneurs leadership just built their mindset with this, effective user experience focus, customer centric focus mindset at that point in time. So think about it from a point of culturally speaking, the performance, the result, and if eventually influence on employees within the organization. Some good styles for influential leaders, good collaboration, inclusiveness, whereby you know what you want, but you want others to be engaged in the process with you, which is very effective. You inspire people. It's not just about, it's also inspirational. At the end of the day, you want people to feel that they can achieve beyond their dreams. I personally have a joy and mission to call out greatness in people, inspire you to say, look, it's possible. You can't shortchange yourself because when you do that, you shortchange humanity, you shortchange us. So we are going to challenge you. We're going to push that greatness out of you. It's already in you. There's nothing you're looking for in any motivational speaker, in any book that is not already in you. We are just calling it out. Dude, come out. It's time. What are you waiting for? What do you have to lose? Nothing. At this point, nothing. Time is not going. You and I are going. Remember that. Always remember that. Personal appeal. Appeal to people's, sometimes even people's emotion. Appeal to people. Their sense of urgency at times that, look, this is not, it's beyond you. If it's in you, the world needs it out. Maximize your human potential. Die empty at the end of the day. Feel you've given everything. And it's okay to fail. That's not a big deal. Make the mistake. So what? We only have one life anyway. Let's use it well. All right, let's go to the next one. First simple step, like we said before, build the credibility. Don't wait for the persuasion time to build credibility. Find common ground, be transparent and tell people, look, yep, I've heard you. Listen, yeah, people. Provide the evidence why you think this is going to work. Preferably numbers, statistics, personal experience. And at times it's okay to tell people that let's give it a try. If it does not work in 2 months, I'm happy to revisit it and we can be flexible to change it. Always give that way out so that people will not think you're just ramping stuff in their truth. Just, hey, you know what? I'm open to ideas. I know it might not work. If it doesn't work after 2-3 months, let's revisit it as a team. And people will respect that because they know that at least you're giving them that option to bring the ideas. If it doesn't work, we will fine tune it and make it better. Have that emotional connection. Be transparent as much as you can, and show empathy also. Some components of Art of Persuasion, really positivity is contagious. I have a personal way of challenging my team. One of the ways, and I must have said it many times, I love to say it, every day to me is the best day ever. Even when things are horrible, physically, human-wise, it's still my best day ever. And initially, when I started doing it so many years back, even for myself, it was laughable. I would say, what the hell did I just say? This sounds so laughable and silly. But guess what? I just realized every day my perspective just changes because at the end of the day, I realized I can't control many things, but I can control myself. I can control if I want to be happy, sad. It doesn't matter what it is. Mentally, I just realized over time, I started having joy and excitement daily because it's no longer like work. It's no longer work for me. It's fun. I don't care what to do. Even if you work in the most crazy place, make it fun for yourself. Make it something that you will just make up scenarios in your head. If you have a jerk that is a boss, create a scenario and say, poor soul, he must be having a miserable life. That's why he's behaving like this. And just laugh it up. You just come up with stuff that will make you just normal. And after your 7-8 hours work day, check out mentally and get back to your normal life. And be thankful. Enjoy it. All right, let's see. Another one, inspiring others with their expertise, passion, and integrity. Very important. Be very observant of your environment. There's so many things people do well. Call it out, let them know, acknowledge it. If you see little things people do, somebody might just be in your workplace and they are good at coordinating things. Somebody's good at checking on others. Somebody's good at certain areas of your sphere of influence. Call it out and encourage them. You don't need to be a boss. You can say it generally, even within your meeting, hey, okay, you are so organized. I think you should be helping us to track stuff. Call out people's obvious strength within your organization because people will start noticing it because really that's what leaders do. You call out the greatness in people. Look, the world is already crazy and messed up. So you don't need to tell me anything else. If everybody just complaining and bitching about what is not working, it's so easy. Everybody does that already. So I'm not going to play that game again. We all know that already. So we need people to now call out the good in people, in humanity. Generically, humanity inherently, we are crazy, right? So it takes people that can see the good in people. And hopefully that's you and I, see the good in humanity, call it out. And over time, that is the goodwill you're building. That's what push us to leadership most of the time. It's easy to find fault. It takes courage to find the good in people. Be patient. There's always something good in people. Even if you're a crazy person, Your good might be being crazy at the right time. I don't know what that is, but figure out the good in everyone. As a leader, there are times that it's, if it's things beyond every one of us, that's obvious, we will know. But always take the step to find the good in people. And of course, over time, people will trust you. Trust is not something built in a day. It takes time. It takes action. It takes you being there when it matters the most. And people can build trust. So that's a patient game. It takes a while to build trust. But over time, when people realize, oh, you got their back, then it's just a mutual feeling at the end of the day. All right, let's go to the other one, setting and communication. Always be very intentional about communicating to your team. Be very, very intentional about communicating. Be intentional about stating the goal of whatever you want to achieve as a team. A simple example would be, we need to finalize this part of the project before Friday, and the client must sign off before that Friday. That's the goal. And you ask the team, is this feasible? What are the potential roadblocks to stop it? What are any dependencies to achieve this goal? If all of us agree on it, it means I'm expecting us to deliver it on Friday, right? But you need to be clear in your communication. And of course, be reasonable, right? I'm not going to say you should do something I know will take 2 months in one day, but you would have created a buffer internally, and people should align and make sure we execute based on what we agreed on. So, all right, transparency. One thing people like a lot is be transparent, use a lot of wisdom and judgment, right? If you give feedback to people, always ask them, do you mind, can I give you feedback? It's always a very effective way. Don't just call me and say, hey, wait, let me give you feedback. Yes, I know you're my boss, but it's always exciting when someone says, do you mind, can I give you feedback? 99% of the time, the person will say, sure. But mentally, if you tell me, because you've told me yes, it's going to be hard for you to get too mad at me because you gave me consent. So hopefully, okay, can we do this, everybody? Can we type it real quick? Always ask, can I give you feedback? Let's do it together. Can I give you a feedback? Don't use that on your spouse. You might not come out the way you thought. So somebody said I might come with a slap. Can I give you feedback? Use your discretion, can I give you feedback? Most times if you say that to people, of course, respectfully, you say, hey, John, do you mind, can I give you feedback? When you do give a feedback, always start with some good things they've done. I'll recommend that, right? And be sincere about it. I can bet you find one of good things. You say, hey, John, the content in your presentation was superb, very, very fantastic. In the future, I think it will be more effective if you paused a bit to ask questions so that people can really enjoy it more. Can you see the way I capped it? So I've already, one, I've taken your consent to give you feedback. You've said yes. Second thing is I acknowledge the good things you've done. Then I sneaked in the feedback. Does that make sense? So that kind of put it in 3 layers whereby I can, it's more easy to accept, and people would like you more. They would find somebody who say, well, I don't care you like me, I don't want you to like me, whatever. That's silly. You're not thinking long term. You can get away with that if you are in a short term. Maybe you are there for just 2 days and you're out, right? Maybe. But if you're in this for a long time, you're going to work with these people for a long term. You want to build them to support your vision. So you have to be tactful. And this era that we have mass resignation, if you're in leadership, you better use all your emotional intelligence. Because if not, they will quit the next day. There are plenty of jobs waiting for people. So be very smart about it, right? And the last thing you want as a leader is to have attrition where you are losing people every time. You work and die because now you have to catch up and get those people to, fill them, backfill them, train those people you're backfilling. There will be instability within your business. You would overwork yourself to death as a manager, and you probably quit yourself because you are exhausted. So be smart about it and use a lot of wisdom. All right, let's go. We're about problem solving. Again, for us as in leadership, problem solving, crisis management would be like the top on your list, really, because there's always going to be crisis to quench. It's part of the fun stuff. Mentally just prepare your mind and say, hey, this will come. I'm guaranteeing you and I, it's a function of when. It will always come. The crisis, you don't want it to come too quick, but some of the crises might include you losing potential customer, potential revenue. So it can be as crazy as it gets. So as a leader, you need consensus to persuade your team to support you when those crisis moments come. Because still people that would execute and help you out of the crisis. But if you're a jerk in the first place and people don't like you and you're in crisis, guess what's going to happen? They will say, good for you, in their mind. They're not going to be fully sold into helping you come out of the crisis. But if it's people that really genuinely know you got their back and there's crisis, guess who they're going to be ready to go to battle with? They will come with you, rally around you, work late to help you to succeed, extra hours, work weekend. I've been blessed to have people like that around me in my team. So it's personal to me. I can say that anytime. You have people that they won't mind working late hours to 10 p.m. weekend when there's crisis that you need to help to resolve. So, but it's not going to just start suddenly. It will have been based on your trust equity over time that you can now capitalize on. All right, accepting perfection. Let's keep it real, guys. It's a fantasy to think everything will work well. Then you've probably not been in leadership long enough. There would always be something that if you leave, if it's 5 p.m. and you look at your mail, there's no crisis, you'll be jumping. Woohoo! Excellent. First day we're good, no problem. You might be having a perfect week, a perfect month. One phone call, one email will just throw everything off because now you realize, oh shoot, there's crisis and you have to figure out how to deal with it. Take it as a challenge, enjoy the moment, have fun resolving it. It's not the end of the world. Never let fear cripple you. Let's type together, everybody. Let's say fear should never cripple you. Let's type it real quick. Everything I want you to type are things I believe we should take serious. Fear should never cripple you. Please, let's type it together. Fear should never cripple you. The reason I'm asking you to type that is this. If you let fear come in, and let me tell you the first fear most of us would always think about, will I lose my job? That is the last thing in your head. Never go there. Never, 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 never. I'm throwing that to you guys. Never, never, never go there. For people that are in the faith, there's a scripture that says a seed that is willing to die would rise again, right? So it's like planting a seed to rise again. So if you're afraid to lose something, that's when you lose it most times. Most of the time, people that are most successful, they're not afraid of losing a job. That's the last thing in your head. The only ask and challenge I give to everybody on this call tonight is always commit to give your best. As long as you give your best, honey, everyone on this call, sleep well. Don't even second guess it. Sleep well. That's the only ask I have. As long as you know, even if I die today, I wake tomorrow, I can't do more than this. Sleep well. That's it. That's my attitude in corporate America. I've always had this, and I have zero record of being fired. It can happen to anybody, I get it, right? I fire people. I will fire you. I would be done. I'm the one I'm saying, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do it. But, and it's not pride, it's just the reality because I'm not afraid of it. It's not a big deal to me. And honestly, I go with the mindset every day of my life in corporate or anywhere. I always think it can be my last day. They can fire me too. It's a company. It's not my father's business, right? So except it's my father's business, then I can say, well, he might be saying, nice enough not to fire me himself, right? But if it's not your father's business, if it's not your personal business, Then I challenge you, just enjoy the moment. Don't take it personal. Don't sweat it that somebody's going to fire you. It's not a big deal. Move on. But every day I challenge you, be your best. Okay? All right. Coaching. Now, this is one area. Let me talk about this real quick. This is one of the most interesting things I've seen personally. Many times, a lot of people would not give the time to coach and develop their team. I think it's one of the biggest disasters I've seen in any organization. I've been part of an organization that it's been a huge challenge. It's been very embarrassing because people, corporations, leadership have not decided it's important enough. It's important enough to commit to coaching and developing and mentoring people within their organization. It's a big deal because anytime there's no coaching, no mentorship, no path to develop others, it's always a disaster because what will happen is that one, people will start retiring. There will be no sustainable, proactive, transition plan. Then everything is going to be in chaos because you don't have a mentorship program to build others and grow people. My style of leadership is very straightforward. I'll make you know mentorship is a big deal for me. Excellence in everything we do. That's the first, because we want to make sure we put excellence deliverable to our clients. Very important again, I want empathy within our team. And mentorship, it's a must. You must upskill. You must commit to mentorship because it will set the tone for your team and your group to understand you are in it as a team. No, I'm not looking at you that you're good. No, it's useless to me. I want you to tell me you're cool, the folks around you, your team are excellent too. That's it. That's mentorship. So when they see you do it, and it's not something you teach, it's something you live. So when your team see you that that's your style, people are lying. That's what I've realized. Many times they realize, oh, okay, this is this guy's style. And I will keep saying it. After you keep saying it, they realize this is who he is. And embrace your style, embrace yourself, and others will align with it. That's why they chose you. So buttress your strength, your areas of strength, and coach others to develop too. Very important. Compromise, don't be a jackass and think you are the one that knows everything. No, be willing to compromise, be willing to listen and tell them, hey guys, I'm open to suggestion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's okay, no big deal. All right, so again, understand the emotional element of persuasion. It's very emotional. So always think through it and say, this guy's concern is valid. If they bring concern, let people understand you've heard the concern. It's valid. And show responsibility also. Instill confidence in your colleagues and everyone else. Another thing is always emphasize your gratitude. The world is already full with a lot of mess and headache that we are all dealing with. I challenge everybody on this call tonight, keep a journal of gratitude. Just every day, anytime you feel sad, pick a pen and paper, just write 2-3 things you can be thankful for. And at times, I challenge you also, when you speak to your colleagues at work, tell them, you know what, Mark, I'm grateful you always step in when we need it. I'm thankful when you always take the attendance for us or the meeting notes. Be specific and tell people how much a task they do is important to you as a team. Volunteer in your community. I know most times we look at this as, well, whatever, social responsibility and all that nonsense. That's what some people think it is, right? In reality, those are very important. Even if it looks like show off, as people call it, do it. What do we have to lose? A community is helped at the minimum. Do it. Even if you don't make friends in the process, the fact is within a community, you did something impactful. Food bank, match of dime. Anything that is impactful, that is service, do it. There's nothing to think about. To me, it's a no-brainer, really. As a matter of fact, if I have my kids around, I'll bring them along to go with me. So anything to show gratitude, emphasize it and do it. Nothing to think about. Understand your group's interest. What does that mean? Understand the interest of your team and what you think would make them excited about the mission you're working on. Show empathy. Get the buy-in from different stakeholders. Be smart about it, really, because at the end of the day, it's all about the final product, right? What you want to be achieved at the end of the day. So empathy, think through different stakeholders, understand their concerns and their interests. Don't dismiss people's concerns. Listen. It doesn't mean you will do what they want, but at the minimum, you listen to them, let them see your rationale, and many times they'll respect you more when you do that. Okay? Traits of persuasive leaders, in summary: most persuasive leaders are sincere. You've built the goodwill already. They listen. When you are listening to persuade someone, it's not the time you put your phone and say, oh, my phone, I'm putting it on the, don't worry, it's not going to ring. No. Just take the phone out for that period, because people will respect that more, that you're listening to them. Be attentive. Be inquisitive. Show empathy. Be relatable. Be a human being. Don't play games. Don't think. People can catch the vibe so quick. Just be as real as they come. I mean, that's it. Don't waste, be honest, be straight, be sincere, and call what things the way they are. Sometimes we are pissed off, say, to be honest, I was, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. You don't want to tell your team you're pissed off at them, right? But you can be pissed off at someone else. People like you to have their back by saying that guy is a jackass or that guy is an ass, whatever. But the point is, they relate better with you to say, oh, okay, this guy got my back, because they got mad at what somebody did. And that somebody might be a leader or somewhere else, but they just respect you, that at least you got their back as a human being first, right? Then we can get into the details. So, all right. Well, we're not going to have a breakout session tonight, but I would open the floor to see if we have people that want to give us comments based on their experience, share one or two insights. We typically have 5 minutes more, so like 8 minutes more. Let's see who can give us, if you want to share some experience of what you've done to persuade people generally in leadership roles or in any organization you've been in, or even in the home front or from your personal experience. What are some things you've done that has been very effective to you in terms of persuasion? Please feel free, just raise your hand and I'll just unmute you real quick. Let's have like 2 or 3 people, then we wrap up. Tonight we started late, so apologies for that. So, anyone that wants to give us some interesting experience, perspective on persuasion that they've seen, just raise your hand and I will unmute you. Anybody? All right, I'm going to ask Yemi to talk. Kabiesi, I'm unmuting you. I know Yemi is a...
No problem. Good evening, everybody. You put me on the spot. Well, for Art of Persuasion, I can say I've been a consultant or senior consultant in various of my positions in the past, when I have to work with developers and people in different teams, and we're coming up with a solution. So you're in there in those meetings deciding, and you have to give your point of view, and and sometimes counter, because it could even be your manager or somebody in a senior position, defending your point of view. And also thinking about it, like in my first IT role, which was supporting the U.S. Army. Literally at every stage of the project, we had to defend our, like, the requirements, even though they give us the requirements, why they are going to, why we're gonna, proceed with this project. Then after we come up with the requirements, we have to go back to them with the solution and tell them, hey, this is the solution we have. And in those meetings, we call it ARB board, but it's called Architecture Review Board, just for, people that hate acronyms. And in that meetings, you have to defend your solution, and you're gonna have people, stakeholders from the Army. You're gonna have senior management there. So at that meeting, they're gonna, like, pretty much, like, the first one, I was so nervous. I had to go there with my lead. Then after, a couple of times, I started going there alone when I felt strong. But, like, in those meetings, they pretty much tear you apart. So you got to be ready. You got to understand, what we call it change request, but your pretty much just call it work. But what you are assigned, the task you're doing, you got to really understand it, because they could ask you multiple questions. So it's even though they assign the work, I don't know if you understand, it's kind of like, even though they give us this work, we have to convince them that we have the right solution to fix this. I could go on forever, but at each stage, when we do regression tests, we have to go back to them and tell them, this. Sometimes they came back with, like, hey, why didn't you test this? Add a few test cases in this scenario, that scenario. Then before every production, sorry for if I'm too technical. I'm trying to not to be too technical. Before every work goes into production, you have to go back to that board and tell them, like, hey, this is ready for production. And they will have what we call go live. That's pretty much is going into the system. It's going to become part of the system. You have to go into that meeting, and they're going to ask you multiple questions again. And if everything is successful, it goes into production. Hope I didn't talk too much. I try to be short.
No, thank you so much, Jamie. I mean, so the bottom line is, yes, even though the requirement has been given, you still need to persuade the architectural review board, which is huge, right? So every one of these skills, yes, I mean, honestly, you'll see them come to life, because you still need to understand how to convince people, even though they are the one that gave you the task. You need to still justify it and convince me to approve it. So thank you so much for that feedback. Let's take one final one. Mr. Yemi Akiri, over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. I really appreciate these sessions. Well, so one that comes to mind would be one of the previous employers that I'd worked for, where we were tasked with building out a security program. So, we had already procured the vulnerability management solution as well as a SIEM solution we're going to be using. Then came the time for us to, start implementing the results. Basically, the initial process was after deploying what we call agents, right? Nessus scanner. So we have agents. We deploy it across the network. So we scanned the network. We uncovered vulnerabilities. We weed out the false positives. So we started trying to push for those vulnerabilities to be patched, especially for some that were deprecated or out of band servers and all that. I'm trying to figure out a way to say it without losing people. But anyway, the long and short of the story is, for some of the servers that we needed to patch the vulnerabilities, it will require taking the system down. And this is a manufacturing company, and they're like, nope, not gonna happen. Before you started working here, we're already a $6 billion company. Well, after you leave, we'll still be a $6 billion company. Anyway, I had to try to look for scenarios of different companies that had overlooked certain vulnerabilities where ignorance was supposedly bliss and ended up getting breached. Write up several, risk governance level reports, and shared it with the CEO and, basically saying, here's what we can do. We can do a risk acceptance, saying that you're owning the risk and the risk is no longer going to live within security. If we did not, and obviously they weren't going to accept the risk because I showed them what their risk appetite was, and this was way outside the risk appetite. That was how we're able to convince them.
Excellent.
To push the platform.
Excellent. Thank you, Yemi. And guys, I mean, the example Yemi gave is just amazing, to be honest, guys. Let me give you that scenario. Let me just repeat what it said so that we don't lose this. So most manufacturing plants, right? Think about your people manufacturing diaper, right? I mean, making diaper, right? They have a plant they use. If they shut down that plant for 1 hour, you know why the plant manager would never want to shut it down? Because their bonus is tied to them shutting this plant down. A plant manager would never allow you to shut down their plant. It's all about, in security, we have what we call CIA, confidentiality, integrity, availability. At the plant manufacturing or research level, it's only mostly availability. I don't care about all these things you're doing. They will tell you, well, all my network is not even in your enterprise anyway. They are separated. So we don't care about you guys. Nobody's installing anything on us. But I love what Yemi did. You know what he did, ladies and gentlemen? He played the game to say, all right, I'll go and bring out news article. I'll tell you what happened to Target retail store. This is public news information that embarrassed this company. They were fined, they were embarrassed, and it's created a lot of chaos for this organization. They will take example of BP when they had spillages. They will take an example of Stuxnet in Iran when they compromised their nuclear reactors. So the smart thing he did was that he just went to put together a case study of different scenarios that has happened to preferably their competitors, right? Then you now say, look at all this scenario. If you don't want to make these changes, not a problem. Tell me you accept the risk. No CISO would put and sign, I accept the risk, because if you sign that, it means if there's a breach, automatic, they will fire you 90% of the time, except maybe you are the founder's son. They'll fire you immediately. So people will just say, okay, all right, we'll go fix it. They'll talk to the plant manager and say, okay, even if we shut down the plant, it will be for a few minutes. Let's see if we can back it up. They will come up with a solution. But that was great. That was great. The power of persuasion, whatever it takes, show empathy, be reasonable, people will listen. I hope this was helpful. Again, we'll keep doing this. Next week, we might bring a guest speaker to just talk, so you guys you'll not be tired of my voice. But we're always having so many good articles, topics that I think our community needs a lot. Ultimately, I believe in building leaders. It's important to us. Leadership make decision. We can be technically savvy, make big money, do all the good stuff. If you are not in leadership position to make influence, you cannot hire African professionals. You cannot impact us. You cannot make recommendation for them to outsource to Africa. You cannot do stuff like that. The Indian community, it's by design. They pushed their people to leadership position. Now they are directors, they are senior managers, they are VPs, and they make all the decisions for hiring, for staffing, all of those decisions because they are in leadership. So I'm challenging you tonight. Don't just limit yourself to being technically savvy. Aspire to be a leader and have fun doing it. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Enjoy the rest of the week. More to come. Thanks.